Good day, everyone. Glad you're here and could join us for this session with the American Red Cross and the AARP Nebraska. I am Janet Davis, and I will be one of your hostesses this afternoon. And Diane.
Hi, my name is Diane Sullivan, and I am a volunteer also with AARP Nebraska. And thank you for joining us today for our presentation on American Red Cross blood donations, giving the gift of life. Now, the need for blood is constant, and the American Red Cross works around the clock to meet with the needs of patients by collecting and distributing life-saving blood. That can only be done thanks to the generosity of blood donations and blood drives. Each donation collected has the potential of saving up to 3 lives. It is definitely the gift of life. Today, I want to introduce Josh, who is going to be our speaker today. And Josh is the Regional Communications Director for the American Red Cross in the Nebraska-Iowa region. Josh Murray joined the American Red Cross in October of 2018. He is responsible for directing all communication functions for the Nebraska-Iowa region. Before joining the Red Cross, he spent 15 years at the University of Missouri, 10 years with the Department of Athletics, and 8 years with the Office of Undergraduate Studies. During his career, Josh has been responsible for a wide variety of media relations, communications, public relations, and marketing activities. Welcome, Josh. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm happy to be here to share what we have going on and talk a little about blood donations. So I have a quick presentation we'll go through, and then afterwards, happy to answer a few questions.
That's great, Josh. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Great. Well, I'll get right into it. Again, happy to be here. Definitely blood donation is one of our big things we do. A lot of people know about the Red Cross, whether it's through disasters response, but also through blood donations, as well as a few other things. But the blood donation aspect and the blood collection aspect is what we're here to talk about today. So I want to go through a few pieces of information, kind of let you know where things stand right now with the blood supply. And then again, as I said, happy to answer a few questions. So first, we'll start, I'll talk about some of the blood products that we collect. And this is just a graphic here to go over. The most common donation we take is the red blood cell cells. That can be donated every 2 months, pretty much. And the shelf life for those donations are 42 days. Those can be used in trauma situations, in emergency rooms. It can be used for surgeries, as also to treat some other diseases, specifically in newborns and other blood disorders as well. Platelets is another donation we take. This product is used a lot of times in cancer treatments, leukemia, and some other cancer treatments. Also can be used in organ transplants. And then plasma is another donation that we accept and take, and that can be used for a variety of things, including trauma, surgery. Some things also can failure with the liver is also one thing that is able to treat. So you mentioned earlier that the need for blood is constant. That's something we always try to emphasize. We can, have a great week this week and collect a lot. That doesn't mean that it's going to be okay in 2 months and 3 months, because as we mentioned earlier, the shelf life of blood has an impact with that. Every 2 seconds in this country, someone needs blood. Approximately 36,000 units of red blood cells are needed every day in the United States. That's something we keep an eye on, to how our levels of collecting relates to what the needs are around the country. Blood cannot be manufactured, which means the only way for us to have the blood to provide to hospitals for the patients is through donations, is through our donors. And is why we are so grateful and so appreciative for all those who come out and give. Talk about the need. The 1.7 million people are diagnosed with cancer each year. Many of them need blood transfusions while they go through their treatments. Over 1,000 babies are born each year with sickle cell anemia. this also is an ailment that requires frequent blood transfusions throughout their life. And something to point out, a single car accident victim can require as many as 100 pints of blood. So again, it tells you how much blood we do go through as a country and why the need for us to continue to provide is so great. So the process to donate, when you make an appointment and you show up to donate, either whether it's at a fixed site donation center or it's at a blood drive or a blood bus that we have, and we'll talk about those, the differences of those in a little bit. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get in, you're going to register, and there'll be someone there who will greet you. They'll get you signed up, get you the information they need from you, and then you'll move into what we call health history section. This is where we're going to ask you some questions about some medicine you're on, maybe some health history questions about you had certain treatments before, certain health history of your family as well, just to get to know what kind of blood you may have or ensure that you are eligible to give and that it will be a healthy supply that we're able to give. And then we move into the donation part of it. The actual donation itself takes less than 10 minutes usually. It's a quick process. Our staff is really great at getting you set up. They're going to make it easy for you. They're going to make sure you're comfortable. And then you're going to be on to the final step is refreshments. We're going to give some juice, some cookies, some crackers, something to help you get replenished a little bit so you're feeling good before you head out the door. From the time you walk in the door to the time you leave the door, it's an hour, sometimes less than that. And again, the actual donation part is 10 minutes or so for that. Healthy donors can donate every 56 days. Well, they mentioned just about every 2 months. We do have an opportunity for some people to give double red cells. We call that Power Red. You can give that every 4 months, basically. Again, kind of half. You're given twice as much, but you can give half as often. Platelets, we talked about giving platelets. You can give those every 7 days because what we do there is we take the blood, we return some of the red blood cells and plasma to you, but keep the red cell or the platelets there. So you're able to give a little more often for that. So we talked about, I wanted to walk through the blood journey a little bit. We talked about step one there, the donation and what goes on through that. The next step is we process the blood, and that involves scanning it into the computer, putting it in a database, getting it ready to move on to the next stages. So it go into storage and go into distribution. And there's a few things we do as well there. We also prepare a few test tubes that we take while we're taking the donation. We also take a few small test tubes that we use for testing. So during the processing, we're preparing those for the testing segment of it. Step 3 is the testing, and that really starts to happen during step 2 as well. But we will test those tubes for things like HIV, hepatitis, and some other diseases that maybe can be transfused through blood. Several disorders that you can't be transmitted through the blood system, but some that are, we're going to test to make sure that is a healthy supply. If the test does come back positive, we do discard that unit and we do notify the donor. All test results are kept confidential. The blood is then sent to storage, and we keep it at the appropriate temperature, depending on if it's red cells or platelets or plasma, until it is needed, and then we will distribute it. Step 5 is we distribute it to the hospitals that need it, and we're able to distribute 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, to wherever the need is most great. We collect blood here locally. We store some locally. We send a lot to Minneapolis that helps process and do some of the testing there, and then it's distributed out from there. We try to address the local blood needs first, but then we're going to send it to where the need is greatest. And that comes in handy when we have issues where some regions maybe don't have enough blood on hand and need more. They're able to pull from another region that does. Same thing for us. If we had winter weather that wiped out several blood drives and we didn't able to collect enough to meet the local needs, we're able to pull from other parts of the country and make sure we meet those needs. So it's a big advantage to us to be this national blood center, because we have that opportunity to supplement in areas that might be needed more than others. A little bit about our donors. The number one reason that our donors give, why they give, is because they want to help others. And that's always a great thing to see, a great thing to hear. We give a lot of incentives. We offer T-shirts and gift cards and different incentives to try to get people to come and give. But really, I see that as just a thank you to people, because people, they don't come for the t-shirt. They don't come for an Amazon gift card or whatever we might be giving out. They come because they want to help and they want to make a difference. And that is what most common reason we hear from people. The reasons people don't give, there's 3 right here on the screen. I'll talk about them. First of all, they don't like needles. And, we've all been to the doctor and given a blood sample for some reason for a test that we needed to get. The needle, the needle prick is, I don't think it's painful. I think it's uncomfortable for a split second, and then it's done. So we try to convince people that if you can just give us that little uncomfortable feeling for maybe a second, and then it's done, you'll feel better about yourself and you'll be able to still help some people. 2 other reasons we often hear is I never thought about it, or no one has ever asked me. So that's something that we're going to make sure we're going to take care of. We're going to ask you. We're going to try to reach as many people and ask you, have you considered giving blood? We want you to think about giving blood, and we're going to run through some of this information that we're talking about today so you understand what is involved and what the process is like. We're also going to share these numbers. 92% of our donors say they are satisfied with their donor experience. 83% would recommend it to their family and friends, and 94% say they intend to donate again within the next 6 months. So that's a big one for us. And that's another reason we really focus on trying to get first-time donors, new donors into the door. We feel like once we get them into the door, there's a really good chance they're going to become regular blood donors. As the numbers show here, 94% intend to give again and within the next 6 months. So that's important for us as we continue to try to build our donor base. A little bit more about our blood services. We collect over 4.7 million blood donations and over 1 million platelet donations from nearly 2.7 million blood and platelet donors annually. So when we collect the whole blood, we're able to break it out into red blood cells, platelets, plasma, and provide these to the hospitals to treat patients who need specific blood products. We work with more than 2,500 hospitals across the country and other healthcare facilities to provide them the blood as they need. As mentioned, we're the leading blood collection agency in the country, collecting approximately 43% of the nation's blood supply. Here locally in the Nebraska-Iowa region, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that region encompasses in just a second, but we collect about 143 pints of blood every year, and we serve 88 hospitals throughout Nebraska and into Iowa. Our Nebraska-Iowa region includes all of Nebraska. We dip into a chunk of southwest Iowa, and then also part of Kansas and part of Colorado. We operate about 25 blood drives a day. So that's throughout the entire region. In some of the large areas in the metro areas like Omaha or Lincoln or even Grand Island, there's a blood drive probably happening every day in those locations. In some of the other parts of the region, there are blood drives at least once or twice a week in the area. So there's plenty of opportunities to give for anyone who's in our region and in our state here. We have a sales team of 20 people. These people are the ones who are out there trying to set up blood drives, finding new opportunities, the blood drives. Where can we host them? Helping get those set up and get those operated, and then recruiting donors to come and give and make appointments to give. Then we have 125 collection staff. This is the staff that works there at the blood drives or at the blood donation centers every day to take the blood. These are phlebotomists who are trained to do all that and to take the blood and go through that process, as well as other staff there to help with the scheduling and make sure things are flowing and operating, and all the logistical stuff is taken care as well. And then we have thousands of volunteers, and really we can't do it without our volunteers. This goes throughout the Red Cross, but in here in the biomed and the blood services as well too. Without them, we can't operate the number of blood drives and the number and accept the number of blood donations we do. So we're constantly looking for more opportunity, more volunteers to help us so we can, again, expand into new areas and do new blood drives and new opportunities, so we give people more opportunities to give and we can be able to provide even more. We hold blood drives at fixed sites. Those are our donation centers that are standalone buildings that they're for. 7 days a week they accept blood and platelet donations. We also have our mobile operations, and those are the blood drives that go all out. We can set up in a business, in a conference room in a business, in a fellowship hall of a church, or in a conference room or a ballroom at a hotel. We can set up anywhere, no matter the size. Smaller blood drives, we might just have 2 or 3 donation chairs, to larger blood drives that we might have 20. donation chair set up across the way. It's a 7 days a week operations. We hold blood drives and have our donation centers open at different times throughout the week. And we may be on as early as 5 a.m. or as late as 10 p.m. So again, that collection staff and those volunteers that serve, I was at a blood drive here recently, and the volunteer was there at 6 a.m. to help us get going and get started up. And those are the people that really ensure that we can continue to do what we do. So right now, though, we are in what we are calling a blood crisis. And those of us in the Red Cross have never actually seen the word crisis used in a situation like that. We've used the word shortage to talk about the blood supply. We've had emergency needs, but we're in a situation now where the term we are using is blood crisis. And that is because we are seeing the worst shortage we've seen in more than a decade. Since the start of the pandemic, we've seen a 10% decline in the number of people who are coming to give. And that has a number of factors to that. The pandemic is playing a role in that, with people who aren't getting out and doing some of the activities that they used to do pre-pandemic. There's also certain things that we're battling that as people get COVID and aren't able to give, they might have to cancel appointment because they have been exposed or currently have COVID, or they just get up that morning, they don't feel well. We actually ask people not to come if you get up and you don't feel well that morning, you have to reschedule your appointment. But again, that delays that donation that we're able to get. We're also finding issues with staffing, like many places across the country, whether it's a restaurant or hotels or shops. Many people are having issues with staffing. We're having that as well too, which makes our scheduling our blood drives an issue, and we have to kind of watch that as well. This time of year already is a tough time to donate, or tough time to collect blood because of the weather that we fight here in the Midwest. Snow can impact blood drives. It can cancel many blood drives. Cold weather keeps people from wanting to get out and wanting to make appointments to go places to give. You add that on top of the other challenges we're seeing with the pandemic and the staffing issues. It's a big concern for us right now. We have at times seen this is across the country, seen less than a 1 day supply of blood products on our shelves. Typically, we like to see a 5 day supply. So 1 day supply is obviously very concerning and very something that we're trying to push out and trying to find more people to give us an hour of their day to come and give, so we can make sure we provide. We don't want hospitals and doctors to have to decide who gets the blood that they have available. We want them to have plenty available so they can treat everyone who comes in their doors. So just to wrap up, how to give. How can you help us address that need? There's three easy ways. You can call 1-800-RED Cross. You can visit redcrossblood.org, or you can download the Red Cross Blood Donor app. Through each of those, you put in your zip code, and it will pull up all of the blood donation opportunities throughout the area throughout the next several weeks or few months. You're able to find one that fits in your schedule. We ask people to try to find the earliest available appointment time that fits with your schedule, and make an appointment. That'll help us address this crisis that we're currently ongoing. Once you make that appointment, it's easy from there. We're going to send you an email the day of. Some of that health history questions that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation today, you can answer that ahead of time at home before you leave. We're going to send you an email with a link where you can do that on your computer, on your laptop, on your phone, on your iPad, whatever it might be. That'll save you time again too when you go to an appointment. We do encourage people to make appointments instead of trying to walk in. We can't guarantee you'll be able to be accepted if you walk in. If we have appointments booked up, there may not be a space to fit you in. And we also want to have appointments made that way. That allows us to kind of stagger appointments enough to make sure it's a smooth and efficient process for you, so we can get you in and get you out in an efficient and safe manner. So that's really the end of my presentation today. Just wanted to share with the updates on what we have in our blood situation and just kind of the process and kind of what we do each and every day throughout the area. But happy to take a few questions.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. That was really interesting. I've been giving blood for over 50 years.
Well, thank you.
And so it even filled in some gaps that I didn't know about giving blood. So I really appreciate what you said. Do have a few questions. Can you outline for us the requirements for someone to give blood, like age and weight and pre-existing conditions that might eliminate someone right off the bat?
Yes, absolutely. The simple answer is that 16 years or older and weigh at least 110 pounds. After that, there are a lot of other factors that we do have to take into consideration. What kind of medicine you are, what kind of health issues maybe you've had in the past, or if you're on certain treatments now. You can find that at redcrossblood.org or by calling 1-800-RED CROSS. What I always encourage people to do is to check that out, find it out. A lot of people think, oh, I take this medicine, I probably can't give, and they don't. And in some cases that's true, but in some cases that's not true. And we don't want you to miss that opportunity to give. So do find out before you assume, oh, you know what, I one time had this illness, I probably can't give anymore. You may be able to. We want to know that for sure before you do turn down that opportunity.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Diane, did you have a question for Josh?
I do have some questions. Does it matter much about what type of blood you are, whether O or AB positive, or should some people with rare ones give more than others? What's your answer to that?
No, it does not matter. We collect all blood types. I will say type O is the most commonly transfused blood, and that's because it's universal. And so a lot of times if a trauma patient comes in, that's what they're going to grab on. They don't have time to check his blood type to match. So they're going to grab that. So that is the most used. So that is what we usually need more of because it is the most requested. But especially at this time when we're seeing these levels down, we have shortages in all levels. They're all types. So we want people to really, no matter what your blood type is, yeah, you can give, and we definitely are in need of that.
I did want to ask too, I've been a blood giver for 40 years, so I'm also a big giver, and now I'm giving plasma more than I am of the blood.
Okay.
Before you come in for a blood donation, is it good to drink a lot of water before you come in, or eat breakfast, or do whatever? What are some of the things right before you come in?
Yes, great question. We encourage you to try to get a good night's sleep, have a good breakfast in the morning. Some people think, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat. That's, your doctor might tell you that for this blood test. For this, we want you to have a good breakfast. And then, yes, drink lots of water. That'll help the process go a little bit easier and a little smoother and quicker for you. So the drinking the water is a crucial thing. And then, have a good breakfast, be well rested. And again, like I mentioned, make sure you feel good and you feel healthy. If you wake up, especially these days, we're all concerned about that, right? If you wake up and you have a headache or you don't feel that great, don't come in. Call us. Let's reschedule that appointment. Let's find another opportunity when you're feeling better. We just want to make sure you're safe. Everyone else is safe.
Sure. I know when you talked about medications and I had cancer before, and I thought I couldn't give anymore. I just assumed it, which is always the wrong thing. And so it really is, people who even take a lot of medications can really give blood. And do you find that makes people hesitate?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are just like you said that, oh, I had cancer, I went through this treatment, I can't give. And sometimes there's a deferral period. We need you to wait a few years before you're able to give. But a lot of times that may have passed and you give. So yes, that's a lot of people are hesitant. And I don't know if hesitant's the right word. They just assume, like you said, I can't give. I wish I could, but I can't. And we want you to make sure that you can, or at least call us, find out when you can. All right, maybe you can't now, but maybe in a year or 2 years you can. So let's give you a heads up on that. Maybe you can start thinking that when that time comes around. Hopefully you'll be giving us another call back to make an appointment.
I just have one other comment. I really appreciate your presentation. I appreciate it. And I do have to say that the snacks are great afterwards and that the people who work in these places are angels. They are so nice. They remember your name. They're always coming around saying, are you warm? Do you need this? What can I do for you? It's an experience that is joyful. It truly is. And the best thing I like about it is after you give, I know in the plasma part, they send me an email and tell me where it went to, which is just that added service that just makes you feel so good. And it's so appreciated to me.
I give as well. And I get that email when mine is used, and that makes it real, right? That makes it, you know that it actually did make a difference because somebody today or this week needed that blood. And because of something I donated, I helped them out. So yeah, that makes it real.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciated this today.
Right.
I've got a few more questions before we let you go, Josh.
Absolutely.
You were talking about staffing, that you're having trouble staffing. Is there special training you need to have before you would apply for a staff position with the American Red Cross Bloodmobiles?
So for a phlebotomist, there are special training that they need, and you can find that out through our website again too, and we can help you connect that. There are other roles and responsibilities within the blood drives that you don't need that, or it's very minimal training that we can provide on the spot. And same thing for volunteers who come, and we need those of day. Very minimal training. We can do that easy for you,
Right.
pretty much on the spot there. So no, the phlebotomist is the one that they would need extra training. They're the ones who are doing the needle sticks and doing that stuff too. So we need to have them certain experiences and knowledge that they need to have before we can get them on board.
Okay, I just wanted to check in case someone might be considering an application to or looking into a job with you. I started volunteering with the Bloodmobile as a teenager in high school before I was old enough to give. I came out of a family that every time the Bloodmobile came to town, this is small town, rural Nebraska, the whole family showed up if they were old enough to give. My father was a universal donor. And so he would occasionally get called to come to the hospital even, but he gave blood even after he turned 90 years old. And
Wow.
we're talking gallons over his lifetime.
Yeah,
And my family also appreciates it because at one point my brother needed a whole lot of blood in a very short order. And that day, it had been long enough that Dad could give a unit for him. But other units had to be flown in for him. Another thing I wanted to bring up was I have found over 50 years of giving, and I'm sure you have too, Diane, over 40 years of giving, that it's a much simpler process than it was at one time.
Yes.
So if somebody gave years ago and I don't want all that hassle, well, it's much easier now.
Yes,
you can even answer all those questions online before you go, and that shortens the time for your blood donation too. So I really appreciate the use of the technology to help us out, so it gets us there faster.
Yeah, we call that the rapid pass, and yeah, that is
Yes.
a definite thing. It makes it a much more efficient process.
It truly is
for
a
all
rapid
involved.
pass.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. I thought maybe you might want to also mention, Josh, about the extra cleaning that you do now. The last time I gave, I had to wait a good 5 minutes, maybe 10, which isn't that long. It didn't bother me, but because the gal was cleaning all of those tables, all of those beds, and it was reassuring to me. But if you can explain to people maybe what some of the extra cleaning is to
Sure.
make us more comfortable coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've always had pretty high standards of our safety
Oh, yes.
protocols and cleaning protocols in place, but now almost 2 years now into this pandemic, we've really upped that out quite a bit to make sure it is a safe environment. So it's going to start when you walk in. Everyone's going to wear a mask. That goes for donors. That goes for our staff. Everyone in the building will have a mask on. We're going to space everything out. So where you're waiting at or where you give, we're trying to space things out as much. There's some work that our staff need to do, being right there with you,
Sure.
but they're going to try to limit some of that space as well. And then, like you said, we're going to change our gloves more often. They used to change it every donation. They're going to change it more than that. They're wiping the beds down. They're wiping the chairs down. They're wiping the equipment down even more with the industrial strength stuff too, to make sure, because we want it to be safe, but we also want you to feel safe so that when you walk out, you're not like, I didn't feel safe. I don't know if I'm coming back for a while.
Yeah, right.
We don't want that to happen. So we're going to take all the necessary steps. And you mentioned our staff. Our staff is very professional, very friendly, and they've had to take on extra responsibilities, extra cleaning, extra, moving things around. They do that, and they do it every day. And now it's become part of what they do, and it's a lot on them.
Sure.
But big credit to them for making sure that we're able to continue to do this.
Definitely. I noticed the last time I gave, which was just before Christmas, the gal went through 4 pairs of gloves because she had to switch patient. She had to stop with me and go shut off somebody's machine because they were done giving. She changed her gloves to shut off their machine. Then she changed her gloves again when she came back to me, and she went through at least 4 pairs of gloves. And so I mean, obviously she can't go wash her hands properly, so gloves is the only answer. And it's just little things like that make some people feel safer when they're ill at ease about coming. So
agreed.
yeah. Diane, did you think of anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I'm good. I just think this was a great presentation and a lot of information in a little time, which it's good.
We hope we can get it out there, Josh. And AARP is an organization that particularly works with and works for people 50 and older. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that unless you have health issues or medication issues, you're never too old to give blood.
Exactly. You mentioned your dad, 90 years old, still giving. That's a great example.
Exactly. Yeah. That was just, if the bloodmobile came to town, you stopped whatever you were doing and you went to town and gave blood. And he would drag the hired men and everybody else along with him. And when our son was in high school, he had a teacher that if the kid would go at all, would take kids to the bloodmobile. And he got started giving blood then, and gives
Wonderful.
Every chance he gets now. So,
Wonderful.
Yes. Well, Josh, I really do appreciate this. This working together with AARP and Red Cross is an awesome opportunity for both organizations and for all the people who might be watching this video. And so I want to thank you, and I want to thank all of those who are watching this video in the future when we get it online. And so glad to have you with us today.
Sounds good. No, this is a great partnership for us, and thanks for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Diane, did you want to say goodbye also?
Just thank you, and everybody stay healthy and warm.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.